Hello, this is Geology Basics video mini lecture number 10, where we contrast tectonic plates and tectonic plate boundaries. We've been working on these learning goals for the last couple of videos, and we're going to focus on 1. Contrast a tectonic plate with a tectonic plate boundary. 2. Identify tectonic plates and tectonic plate boundaries in map and cross-section diagrams. And 4. Interpret a simple cross-section showing 2 tectonic plates and 1 plate boundary. We're going to effectively be working on number 3, compare and contrast an active continental margin with a passive continental margin too. So let's do some practice with kind of a hypothetical map. We've got the idea now, looking at our own sort of home continent and home tectonic plate. Now we want to practice some with map views and cross-sectional views and try to make sense of how this works with plate boundaries and continental edges and how these things all fit together. So we've got a question for you here first. It's in purple. And it says, what symbol or symbols indicates the location of plate boundaries on the map? Hopefully you've paused, taken a look at the map key, and you have the idea that plate boundaries in this particular map, which is really focused on the different tectonic plates themselves, plate boundaries are the black lines. So we're not worried in this map about the types of plate boundaries there are. We're just trying to locate where the plates are and where the plate boundaries are. So this is technically the same map as before, but instead of focusing on the plates, we're actually focusing on the plate boundaries here. So take a look again. What symbol on this particular map or symbols indicates the location of the plate boundaries on this map? Pause for a second while you think about it, and then come back and we'll go over it. All right, so if you've had a chance to take a look at this, hopefully you are seeing that there's now different colored lines that are indicating the different plate boundaries. So similar to the last map, but the focus is different. The focus here is on the plate boundaries themselves. Now that we've got an idea of what the key is showing for the map and the cross-section, both keys, the next question for you in practicing these ideas is there a plate boundary between location A on the map and the cross-section and location B? So this is a yes or no question. Take a minute, take a look, pause the video if you need to, and I'll be right back. Hopefully you came up with the answer yes, there is a plate boundary between location A and B, indicated by hopefully the arrows, the white arrows, which of course don't exist in real life, but are useful on maps and diagrams, and the red and green plate boundary lines on the map also don't exist in real life. You can't walk out there, and usually there isn't a sign, except a couple places in the world, that says plate boundary here. So we're going to get to how you figure that out. But for right now, we're interpreting these maps, and that's what we're interpreting. So A and B separated on different plates. Let's switch now to 2 different locations. Well, I should say one same location. B and C. Is there a plate boundary indicated on the map or the cross-section between locations B and C? In this case, there is not a plate boundary between B and C. There is a continental margin, but there is no plate boundary. They are on the same tectonic plate. They're going to be moving together. So an example of a passive margin is shown here on the west side of continent C. How about locations C and D? Is there a plate boundary on the cross-section of the map between those 2 locations? The answer to that question is yes, there is a plate boundary between C and D. On the map, we can see this as a blue line. Hopefully on the cross-section, you see that also on the map, you see that the arrows indicating plate movement show a difference as you move from the right edge of C to D, or moved between C and D. Okay, last chance for practice on these concepts. The question is, which side of the continent, east or west, is a passive margin? So in this case, if you were doing this in class with like a clicker or something, you might choose A or B, A being west, B being east. The best answer, and hopefully you got it, is that the west side of plate 2, or sorry, not plate 2, but the continent that is included in plate 2 has a passive margin, the west side. And that's because there's no plate boundary that coincides in the same place with the edge of the continent there. That is in contrast to the east side that is marked by the blue line, which is in fact a plate boundary right at the edge of where the continent and the ocean of plate 3 meet. So this is an active margin. The passive margin is on the west side. Okay, that's all the practice from here. There is another 2 videos on plate tectonics, so I'll see you in a bit.